Tears welled up in Terry Irwin's eyes as she witnessed her cherished son endure a brutal transformation. His recent transformation from a carefree youngster who followed in his father's footsteps shocked his fans. Just where is the illustrious Crocodile Hunter's son now? As a mother to Robert and Bindi, Terry Irwin has been there for her loved ones through thick and thin. Steve Irwin, her husband, passed away, and she loved him dearly. She has spent her entire life as head of the Irwin family, standing by Steve's commitment to animal protection. Terry, on the other hand, is quite distressed by recent events. Her son Robert is undergoing a transformation that has surprised everyone. Robert used to be a courageous and joyful child who brought his dad to everyone's mind, but his recent changes have left many wondering and worried. It could be due to unanticipated life changes, the demands of attention, or Terry's own problems, but he is upset about how he has changed. Everyone watched as Steve's son blossomed into a future wildlife warrior. Many are now curious about Robert Irwin's whereabouts and the source of his mother's sadness. Before she became Steve Irwin's cherished wife and a world-renowned wildlife activist, Terry Irwin had already devoted her life to safeguarding animals. She built a career around conservation while rescuing injured animals in Oregon, managing her own wildlife recovery center, and eventually becoming involved with alligators and wildlife in Australia. But how did one ill-advised journey alter Terry's life's trajectory? And what brought her from a tranquil existence in the United States to the midst of the Australian zoo? Born on July 20, 1964, in Eugene, Oregon, USA, Irwin came from a family that loved the outdoors and adventure. Her dad, Clarence Rains, was a truck driver who had a soft spot for the outdoors and animals. Terry developed deep feelings for animals during the many outdoor adventures he shared with her and her brothers, such as fishing, camping, and more. In contrast to most children, Terry showed no fear of the wild creatures she encountered. She was actually attracted to them. From injured rabbits to lost kittens and injured birds, she was always there to help. Even though her mother occasionally felt overwhelmed by the increasing number of animals in their home, she always supported her daughter's interests. Taking in strays and helping injured animals, Terry had transformed her home into an underground sanctuary by the time she was a teenager. She had a deep-seated desire to dedicate her life to assisting animals. She was still filled with excitement and wanted to do more. Terry sought employment in the veterinary field and educated herself on the care of injured and ill animals. Plus, her job equipped her with the knowledge and self-assurance to pursue her passion because she was hell-bent on making a difference. Terry launched Cougar Country in 1986, taking a risk. The facility provides a safe haven for injured predators, including bobcats, cougars, raccoons, and bears. The injured animals had to be personally attended to by her so that they could recover and be ready for release into the wild. Among her many accomplishments at Cougar Country was the rehabilitating of hundreds of animals, providing them with a new lease on life. The individuals whose job it is to safeguard wildlife immediately noticed Terry's endeavors. She spearheaded efforts to protect wildlife habitats and promote ethical wildlife conservation alongside local government officials, veterinarians, and animal welfare organizations. Despite Terry's excellent employment prospects in the United States, he developed a stronger passion for animal welfare in regions outside of his home continent. She aspired to broaden her knowledge of animal welfare, travel the world, and improve herself. Her curiosity took her to a spot and introduced her to someone who would alter the course of her life in ways she could never have imagined. Terry, in 1991, set out on what she believed would be a straightforward journey to Australia with the intention of witnessing firsthand the country's distinctive fauna and preservation initiative. She crossed off visiting the Australia Zoo, a diminutive reptile park in Queensland, from her to-do list, where she met the enthusiastic and knowledgeable animal expert Steve Irwin. For the first time, she was astounded to see him interacting with alligators. He had an incredible commitment to preserving wildlife, was courageous, and bursting with energy. Terry piqued Steve's interest because of her extensive knowledge and deep affection for animals. They eventually became one due to their common objective. The trajectory of wildlife conservation would be irrevocably altered after a fortuitous encounter. swiftly blossomed into a partnership. The Irwin family has touched the lives of millions of people since Steve Irwin's infectious enthusiasm and deep affection for animals first appeared on television. Terry dedicated her life to continuing Steve's work after his untimely death in 2006. As children, Bindi and Robert were the center of attention as they followed in their famous father's footsteps, who was known for his unwavering enthusiasm and fearless love of crocodiles. The audience took a shine to Robert in particular. Concerned about Robert's recent changes are his mother Terry and others who have a strong opinion of him. Booterham, Queensland, Australia is the site of Robert Clarence Irwin's birth on December 1, 2003. Steve and Terry Irwin, his parents, were overjoyed to have him. While visiting the Australia Zoo as a child, Robert had an unusual experience. Instead of humans and photographs, he coexisted with kangaroos, koalas, and alligators. Steve Irwin, his father, was a constant source of information about animals and the importance of protecting them. Tragically, Robert lost his father at the young age of 2. Even though Robert was too young to completely comprehend the tragedy, he would hear tales of Steve's efforts and enthusiasm as he grew up. Robert was brought up to continue his father's work by his mother Terry and sister Bindi Irwin. Robert had a striking resemblance to Steve even as a young man. It was obvious that he was meant to succeed his father in the family business due to his insatiable curiosity, willingness to try new things, and affection for animals. Public appearances and increased authority were hallmarks of Robert's maturation into a larger man. He gained fame at the Australia Zoo. Just like his famous father, Robert possessed an innate charisma that endeared him to television viewers. Bindi the Jungle Girl, his sister's nature show, was his first big break in television. People loved seeing his enthusiasm and expertise about animals on his many appearances on talk shows as he got older, such as The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Due to the striking similarity between Robert's speeches and those he gave to the media, fans believed that Steve Irwin had returned through him. Robert stepped up his involvement at the Australia Zoo, helping out more with animal care, education, and conservation efforts. He developed a passion for photography and utilized his talent to create striking images of the natural world, raising awareness about endangered species. In his day, he was a prominent environmentalist who collaborated with his sister and mother on initiatives to preserve animals and bring attention to their plight. Even at an early age, Robert had made a name for himself as an outspoken champion for wildlife. His perseverance and commitment earned him numerous accolades, and he motivated countless individuals all over the globe to cherish both animals and the environment. Robert experienced a mix of emotions as he considered the possibility that he might follow in Steve Irwin's footsteps. Despite the high expectations placed on him, he consented to fulfill his father's request. His relationships, though, have attracted attention on occasion. In November 2022, Robert started seeing Rory Bucky, who is the niece of Heath Ledger, the late actor. They first crossed paths at the 2023 July premiere of Mission: Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. By sharing photos of themselves together on various social media platforms, this couple flaunted their relationship. However, in February 2024, after dating for approximately 18 months, Robert and Rory announced their amicable breakup, stating that they respected each other and desired to pursue separate paths. Supposedly, Robert began seeing Australia Zoo employee Charlotte Briggs after his breakup with Rory. Following their sighting at Sydney Airport in July 2024, they proceeded to put on an ostentatious display in the hotel hallway. Robert and Charlotte kept mum about their relationship status despite the many sightings of the two of them together. News reports say that Robert Irwin was single in February of 2025. Despite his continued fame, he has stated his intention to focus on his professional and personal development in order to carry on the family tradition of protecting animals. Robert would prefer that no one knows about his private relationships. Now the question is, what changed his metamorphosis? A lot has changed for Robert in the last several years, and his fans are confused and worried about it. Robert was once famous for his youthful good looks and constant activity. His demeanor and actions have transformed significantly. Someone has noticed that he isn't as carefree and energetic as he once was, and that his style and appearance have changed. It appears that his public persona has evolved. Compared to his younger self, he now seems more reserved and unenthusiastic. People are concerned about his emotional and mental well-being because he avoids the limelight. Pressure and expectations have also had a significant impact on him. Since Robert was the son of Steve Irwin, comparisons to his father were common. It was always there when I was a kid. Even though he always went out of his way to help Steve, the constant barrage of requests may have taken its toll. Was he pressured to do what his father wanted him to do? Without his family's norms and practices, was Robert struggling to find his identity? In a world where his identity has always been defined by the actions of others, Robert may finally be striking out on his own. Like many young people, Robert may be distancing himself from his lifelong passion for conservation and the Australia Zoo. Robert reportedly wants to explore new interests and possibly even pursue a different line of work. Some think he is stepping back to focus on himself and develop personally, which he struggled with while he was the center of attention. Despite his undying commitment to animal welfare, rumors have circulated that he is considering a career shift within the company. In a profound way, Robert's transformation has impacted Terry Irwin. Tragically, her husband passed away in an accident not long ago. Observing Robert's unexpected growth has been a profound experience for her as a mother who has dedicated her entire life to pursuing Steve's vision. Terry may feel her heart break at the prospect of Robert abandoning the investigation into the Irwin family history given her fierce protectiveness of her children. One of a mother's worst nightmares is witnessing her child in pain. She is shocked, according to family and friends, that her once happy son is now struggling. She has always prioritized her children's well-being and did her best to raise them with love and attention. No amount of protection, however, will shield Robert from whatever issues he may be facing off-screen. True, she is terrified, not physically but emotionally, at the prospect of losing Robert. A new kind of melancholy washes over her as she witnesses his transformation. That is something no mother should ever have to face. Many are worried about Robert's transformation, but it's vital to keep in mind that transformations like these happen frequently in life. There are phases that all youths go through, and sometimes it's crucial to their development that they release the past. Perhaps Robert is merely attempting to shed his father's shadow and discover who he is. His independence may stem from the fact that he has always been told he looks like Steve. This may entail trying out a new style of clothing, taking up a new pastime, or even taking a break from the family business. Although it may be difficult for them, Terry's family will likely stand by him if he must go through with his quest for self-discovery. Second, whether Robert's departure from the Irwin family tree is permanent or merely transitory will be determined with some time. If this is only a phase, his fans can hold out hope that he will return to his normal self. For the time being, Robert may simply be embracing his identity apart from his father's past. On top of that, his loved ones may just have to tolerate him if it brings him joy. Robert can rest assured that his loved ones and the millions of people who care about him will never leave his side. Although Wendy's tears reveal her sadness and anxiety, they also demonstrate her immense love for her son. He can count on her unwavering support, which has never wavered. Terry Irwin's unending love for her son is the true reason behind her tears, never sadness. No matter how confusing Robert's transformation may be, he must face it head-on and do it alone. Every shift feels more significant for a family that has been in the spotlight for so long. Changing is never easy. The strong bond between the Irwins, however, remains unchanged. His mother will love and support Robert unconditionally, regardless of his decision, whether it is to follow in his father's footsteps or to forge his own path. Both Robert and the millions of people touched by the Irwin family's incredible journey will never forget Steve and his spirit. Terry Irwin, Robert's mother, is the only one who can support him through this difficult time, but his change has made everyone worried. As someone who dealt with the tragic loss of Steve Irwin while raising 2 children in the spotlight, Terry understands firsthand how challenging it is to meet demanding expectations. During Robert's journey to self-discovery, without being constrained by his father's thoughts, Terry can assist Robert in changing his course. By allowing him space to develop and keeping him grounded in his roots, she can reassure him that his value is not found in blindly following Steve's footsteps, but in his genuine passion for wildlife and conservation. Terry can show Robert that true heritage is about purpose rather than imitation by maintaining an open channel of communication, consistently showing support and providing encouraging words. No matter what the future holds for him, his passion for animals will ensure that he continues his father's legacy at the Australia Zoo. After deciding on a new career direction, Robert will return to his previous role as a wildlife warrior. Yes, that is the true inquiry. In any case, he can count on Terry's unwavering support. The lessons of perseverance, self-discovery, and development are profoundly conveyed in Robert Irwin's narrative. He underwent a transformation after receiving his father's wealth. The significance of discovering one's own identity is emphasized by his story and by Terry Irwin's steadfast support. Everyone has to figure out what works for them, but Robert has spent his entire life trying to emulate Steve Irwin. As his life demonstrates, we need not conform to the expectations of others in order to respect our heritage. Finding our authentic selves is the path to happiness. Change is inevitable in everyone's life. Our perspectives, our personal development, and our career paths are all subject to change, and we shouldn't be scared of it. Robert is maturing, but he still can't let go of his past. Being there for Robert demonstrates the power of love, understanding, and care, just as Terry Irwin is. As an example of genuine support, she encourages his development without pressuring him to conform. Crocodile wrestling wasn't the only thing Steve Irwin left behind. Exciting new experiences, instruction, and protection were also his legacies. The essence of passing on a heritage, according to Robert's story, is not taking on another person's life, but rather living, upholding the same principles in one's own special. At times, it can be overwhelming to be the center of attention. How we've developed as individuals is a question nobody wants answered. As Robert's transformation demonstrates, we must always prioritize our personal well-being over the opinions of others. Sometimes, for the sake of our mental and emotional health, it's necessary to withdraw from obligations, demands, or the scrutiny of others, regardless of how well-liked we are. Following in Robert's footsteps teaches us that setbacks are inevitable parts of growing into our own unique identities, not failures. The story of change by Robert Irwin is one of coming of age, discovering one's place in the world, and making those transitions. His love for the outdoors will remain unwavering, regardless of whether he continues down his father's road or forges his own path. Instead of following a predetermined path, real success is finding joy in doing things your own way. Everyone needs to know this.